on? Hey, we're on. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, The Power is Within podcast. And the title for today's show is USA, Bought with Blood and Lives. Be grateful for it. Today's topic was inspired by a gentleman I met Friday, I think. I was bidding a job, and he is a major in the Army, has been for 17 years, something like that. Oh, excuse me, got a little problem here. What is this coming on for? Oh, okay, I got it. Anyway, I met this guy, Matthew Greenwood, Major Matthew Greenwood, and he served in Afghanistan. I think he's been over there a couple times maybe. And I was talking to him and telling him that I was so grateful for men like him who risked their lives and many men who have actually given their lives so we could live in this wonderful country we live in today. So I looked up, and it's how many soldiers died in Afghanistan in 2021. 1,856 of these deaths have been the result of hostile action. 320 American service members have also been wounded in action during the war. In addition, there were 1,720 U.S. civilian contractor fatalities, that's American workers, for a total of 4,096 Americans killed during the war. So we can sit here today and do this so we can have the safety that we have.
Yep.
Now, we think about that and then all the other wars that we've had, the Korean War, Vietnam War, World War II. I don't know how many millions of people died in World War II. On D-Day, the D-Day invasion, there were men as young as 16, 17 years old. They lied to get into the service, went over there willingly and gave their lives so we could have the freedoms we have today. And I guess what brought this on too is there are some people, well, keep it positive, they complain about how they have no privileges, how the U.S. is a terrible country. People burn the flag and they do other things to degrade the flag. The flag stands for the idea of America. Now, we will never reach the perfect ideal of what that flag stands for, but it's a goal to shoot for. And that's what it stands for. If you don't like the government, I understand that. You don't trust the government, I understand that too. But that's not the point. The point is we try to be the best country in the world. Are we? Well, some people think we are, some people think we're not. But people have fought and given their lives, so you have the freedom to complain about it if you like. Today is 9/11, as you know, and all the people that died in those Twin Towers years ago, I remember when that happened, and the people that gave their lives trying to save those people, that was an act of war. That was probably one of the only times besides Pearl Harbor, and that wasn't really in the U.S., where we got actually attacked on our land. And it's because of people like Major Matthew Greenwood that goes out there and risks his life to keep others from coming in here like they did on 9/11 and making your home and, where you have to leave. If you watch TV, the refugees leaving their homes, that could be us. If it wasn't for the military soldiers, the defense, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the people that willingly give their lives so you can have the freedom, so you can sit at home on your computer and do nothing or whatever it is, and play games or whatever and complain. You have every right to do that. This is America. You can do what you want to do. So that's our topic for today, and give me your thoughts on that, Henry.
Well, I heard recently that there was a man who was I don't know if it was in Afghanistan or something like that, but there was a guy he lived around O'Fallon, St. Louis area or something like that, and he was one of the people that was around when there was a suicide bomber, and he risked his life. He went out there and he knew that he could potentially die, whatever it had to be, any situation, and he did that. There's multiple people that don't think about how many American people or American soldiers have risked their lives for us to be safe, for us to really be able to sit here and enjoy our meals and whatever happens to be, and people don't appreciate it as much as they really should. That's my thoughts on it, really, and it's like I'm grateful to be here. I've lived in a third world country for, I think it was like maybe a year or so, or maybe a couple of years.
You lived there for, let's see, you're 18. You lived there for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, and I really appreciate, what it's like to live in the U.S. because it's so unsafe down there. It's like you don't have people to protect you besides your own parents. The police are very criminal. They're just like
corrupt is the word.
They're corrupt just like the criminals down there. And it's like when you come up to the U.S., you can go to the store and not have to worry about someone coming up and, attacking you or something like that. Or
And you brought that up to the police being corrupt in other countries. That brings up the point where we had a while back that there were some people talking about defunding the police force and talking about how terrible the police were. Obviously, we have bad policemen, and obviously we have bad postal workers, bus drivers. Everyone is not going to be perfect. But if it weren't for the police, we would not be able to sit here today without bars on our windows and metal on the doors like we had when we lived in a third world country. But people here don't realize that because they're so protected. They just And when you don't know a contrast of it, then you think it is terrible probably here. But when you do know the contrast, I know every time I flew back into St. Louis from Latin America, it was like a feeling of relief. The cleanliness, the safety. I mean, the garbage and the filth. People just throw their garbage up over the wall. It's like it's just dirty and it's a whole different world. But here we don't know anything about it except maybe we see a commercial on TV or we watch some movie or something. But that doesn't give you the full impact of how would I say, depressing and hopeless it is in a lot of these countries.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like when I lived in Guatemala. There was a lot of people who would be on the side of the street. They'd be homeless, but they weren't only homeless. They'd be missing limbs. I know they're probably attacked during the night. And there was this one time where this guy who was he had under the influence of alcohol and he slipped and busted his head open and passed away right in front of our door. It's not like somebody who like up here. If that happened in the U.S., they would instantly take the body. Try to figure out who his family is or whatever. The body sat out there for a few days. It didn't just get picked up. Bodies sit out there and rot, and but people don't understand. It's like they're so comfortable with how it is in the U.S. They don't realize how bad it is in other countries.
Exactly.
And that's the thing is, it's like that's why I have such an appreciation for whatever happens to be like U.S. military and officers and everything like that, because they do everything they can to protect us.
Yeah, so we don't have to live in a country like that, because we could very well be a country like that.
And that's the thing is, it's like they have all this thing, like you were saying, to fund the police and everything like that. Well, if we didn't have police officers or people who took care of us, we would have situations like that. You can't have people who have no weapons or anything like that to protect us trying to fight off against some guy who's maybe under the influence of drugs with a weapon.
Exactly. All the criminals always get weapons.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter. Even if, then there's that thing about, taking away the guns or something like that, and if it doesn't matter if you take every single gun away from every American, they're going to find a way to get weapons.
Oh, yeah.
They will always, it's always going to...
It's just like when they tried to outlaw alcohol, prohibition.
Yeah.
That didn't work too well.
They'll always find a way to get what they need. Yeah.
Get what they want.
Yeah, and this thing people don't realize is like, like you said, the U.S. isn't perfect, but, we do the things we can to protect the people and take care of everybody that we can take care of. Like just how we pay taxes to take care of the people that can't really, like people who maybe are crippled or are disabled, they can't take care of themselves.
Right, and also people don't realize either, like in where we were at down there, they still have lynchings, where if people get caught stealing, they chase them down, a mob will, and they beat them up, and if they live through that, they pour gas on them and they burn them. It's a common occurrence down there. Now here, if you get caught stealing in Walmart, sometimes they won't even call the police.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like lately I've seen a lot of stuff on Instagram. It's like if people get caught stealing, the people at Walmart or whatever it happens to be or any other store can't do anything about it. They can walk out with hands full of stuff, but they can't stop them because they're afraid of the person retaliating against other customers or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, the thing is that like in the U.S. you should be more thankful for what you have, because like in Guatemala and all those kinds of places, people don't have a lot of stuff. And not only that, but back then the worst thing that could happen to you was like if you had the death sentence, you'd get the electric chair. That was pretty brutal, but they don't do that anymore. But I noticed this thing in in Afghanistan, they gave them like helicopters, like F1 Hunters or something like that, and the people over there learned how to like drive them and all that stuff. They hung a person in front of they hung a person.
Kind of like here back in the Wild West.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess to show everyone it's different in those countries, but
yeah, to make an example out of it. When I was talking to the major too, he told me that they were trying to make a centralized government over there, and the people just really don't want it. And what
Yeah.
happens is they would get they'd get things going good, but while they were there, the Afghanistan people would operate and do well, but as soon as they leave, then it would just fall apart. And a problem too is if some of the Afghans that was trying to make a change were seen talking to the soldiers, then when the soldiers would leave the town, the Taliban would come in there and kill those people.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. It's very difficult to change thousands of years of thinking with just coming there with our own ideas, and it just really usually doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I had asked him, I said if it was similar to Vietnam, and he said, yeah, it's really very similar to Vietnam. We never accomplished anything there.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing people don't realize. It's like there was a parade earlier here today, and to show appreciation to the soldiers, and which what I heard was to the soldiers, and because of the fact that 9/11 happened that day. There was a lot of even firefighters, police officers that died during 9/11. It's like you think if we defunded the police then, they would be able to help so many people that
Exactly.
got out of that
And
building.
they willingly gave their lives
Yeah.
to help the people in distress. I don't know what 2,000 or 3,000 people died that day.
Yeah,
I
and a
think.
bunch of police officers and firefighters.
And more people would have died were it not for them that
Yeah,
are helping.
Exactly.
So-
They went in there and they knew that the buildings were possibly going to collapse, but they tried to help as many people out as they could,
Well, it's easy to think. It makes me think of the old saying, one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. So we get a bad policeman or a couple bad policemen, and then everybody wants to get rid of all of them. And most policemen, if not all of them, they go into the academy, or they want to be a policeman because they want to serve and they want to help people and they want to protect people. Now, what happens sometimes, I believe, is they're around so much criminal activity, they become part of what they're around.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult for them. They become rough and callous, and now everybody's got a camera. So when they treat someone with some physical, I don't want to use the word abuse, but when they have to be physical with someone, they just can't. I would not want to be a policeman because
Yeah.
they can't hardly even protect themselves without someone condemning what they do. But it's like, unless you walk a mile in someone's shoes, you really can't judge them. I mean, they're afraid too. Every time they walk
Yeah,
up
they're
to a
humans,
car,
yeah.
they could be getting shot.
Yeah.
I know myself, when a policeman walks up to my car, I put my hands on the wheel and I don't move
Yeah.
because they don't know what I'm going to do. And then what I seen on some of these where these people had gotten shot, they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't listen to what the policeman was saying, and then unfortunately they got killed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been pulled over a few times, and I've been going pretty fast a couple of the times, and they come up to the car, and I treat them with respect. They're police officers. They're doing the best they can. They're going out there and, taking risks. I could be someone with a gun who, when I get pulled over, I might shoot at them. Another thing, too, I've heard is, well, if there's good cops and there's bad cops, and the good cops know about the bad cops, it makes them just as bad as well. Well, that's the thing people don't understand. It's like sometimes the good cops can't do anything about the bad cops. They might be a higher rank, or they might have been working. And they have to prove that they're doing something that isn't.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that they know they're not doing anything about it. They're doing the best they can, but people don't understand. You can't just say he's doing this and that. Just how I can't say one of my siblings murdered someone without any proof.
Yeah,
You have to
right.
have some sort of evidence. They're doing the best they can, and people just kind of like, oh, well, he's just bad because he knows he's doing bad.
Yeah, it's easy to judge. Like they asked me to be a policeman one time. I think they asked you
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I told the guy he's a lawyer in town now, but I said I don't want. I said I could not get someone in trouble for, let's say, like drinking and driving when I used to do that, and then be a jerk to someone. He said, well, you only have to be a jerk to the people that are jerks to you, but I just really didn't want to do it, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I have a respect for the men that do it. Yes, if I run into a couple of cops that were jerks or seemed to be, sure I did, but how do I know what he'd been going through, or the last 2 or 3 guys he pulled over might have threatened him, or who knows what, or they have their problems just like everyone
Yeah.
else. Maybe him and his wife are having a divorce. Maybe his wife's got cancer, so he's having a bad day. And they hear all these people lying to him all the time, so then you wonder why maybe they don't believe you. So it's just a really tough job. It really is.
Yeah, and they're just human beings like every single one of us. They're doing their best as police officers. Now, they go through the training and stuff like that, but, they try to do their best to regulate their emotions, It's like, and sometimes when someone's spitting at them, like cussing at them, sometimes the emotions get the best of them, and they retaliate, and they do their best, but they can't do their best every single time. If someone, like, let's say they had, someone like hitting at them, retaliating them before they pulled you over, and you're spitting at them and cussing at them and everything like that.
Yeah, you may assume he's going to do the same thing, so you take him out or stop him with
Yeah.
whatever, a club or what are those little guns they shoot? Those tasers.
Yeah,
tasers
tasers, yeah.
You know, and then what if the guy happens to die because he got a bad heart? Then there
Yeah.
you are. But it's almost like they have to wait for the criminal or whoever the perpetrator to shoot at him or actually even shoot him before they can even defend themselves.
Well, and that's the thing,
They're
too.
under such scrutiny. it
I was
seems like.
watching the news, this one news thing, and one of the cops, there was two cops, and there was a criminal, and he had ran from the cops and shot this other cop, and the cop fell. But on the camera, on like their footage, you know how they carry cameras and everything, the cop in front of him fell, and then the cop behind him started shooting. And then the news were like, oh, well, we don't know who started shooting first, but we're pretty sure it's the police officer. You know,
Well,
they
and
make
there you go too. The media shows parts they want to make it as exciting as they can, and the more controversy they can stir up by just giving part of the story,
Yeah.
then they get people watching, so it increases their ratings. That's another problem too. The media does not portray the whole truth. Well, the truth is hard to find, but the real story the best they can. They leave things out or they add things on, and it's just not really the reality of it. Paulina, you're quiet. What do you have to say about this? About living here in America and being grateful for what we have here?
Well, when I lived down there, I only lived down there for 4 years, so it was like less than all the rest of you guys besides like Kevin. I don't really remember much because it's kind of just something you don't want to remember. It wasn't like a childhood type thing that I would have wanted to remember or anything. So I don't know much about being down there, but I know it wasn't as good as it is up here. And I know if I was down there with Mom right now, I probably wouldn't be like who I am now. I'd lie, I'd steal. If anything, I'd probably not even be here today. I honestly don't think I'd be alive if I still lived down there because it's so bad. And from what I've heard and a couple of things that I have seen when I was down there when I was little, but there's a lot of people that say stuff like, let me think. Oh yeah, they're like, well, we didn't ask them to go to the military and fight or blah, blah, blah. It's like, you didn't have to ask them. They did it because...
Yeah, they did it willingly.
To
exactly.
protect us, yeah.
They were trying to protect us, and they were like, well, we're not being protected. If it's mainly people that, like, are with the LGBTQ or whatever, they usually say, like, well, we don't have any freedom here. We can't marry this. It's like they didn't fight for you to do that. They fought for us to have freedom and not be treated like how people were treated before they went to war.
Well, actually, they did fight for them to have the freedoms that they have to
Yeah.
marry, because I have a couple of gay clients and they're married, great guys. So, yeah, I know you had told me before that some of the kids in school seem to think that, like you say, we didn't ask them to go. No, we
There's a
didn't
lot
have
of-
to ask them to
There's
go.
a lot of kids that just sit during the pledge, and the
Yeah.
teachers let them do that. The teachers don't do anything about it.
See, and that goes back to the flag. The flag is an idea. It has nothing to do with the government. It's the idea of America. And I'd say very few young people know what actually the flag means and what
Yeah.
it stands for.
The
It's
reason
liberty
why-
and justice for all. Now, is everybody going to have liberty and justice? Of course not. The justice system fails. Of course, it's not perfect. But it's the idea that we strive for liberty. Just like a lot of the things going on now with this gender thing, they have the liberty and the freedom to voice what they want and what they feel, and to ask and push legislation for it. That's their freedom, and that's what, whether a person agrees with that or not, that's what these men died for, so they could have their freedoms to do those things.
Yeah, and then another thing is like the reason why most of the kids at my school sit during the pledge is because of what they've seen on social media. They automatically think like, okay, well, this is true. This can't be
Yeah,
fake.
they believe anything on social media.
They're like, this can't be fake, so I'm obviously going to believe it. But like, they don't understand that people can just make things look so much more real than what they
Yeah.
are. They're really persuasive on there. So
It's like
that's
we
why,
live in a world of illusion. I know
yeah,
the-
that's
the
why
social
people.
media.
That's why people just don't stand because of what the media showed them. They just don't stand. up
Another
because
thing
of
too
it.
that I want to add, when you said you don't remember much stuff about being Guatemala because you would rather not remember, people talk about being gone through traumatic situations in the U.S. or something like that, but really compared to
Yeah, that's the new buzzword, trauma.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like trauma, and I've had somebody tell me trauma is measurable. You know what I'm saying? And really, I mean, I guess to a certain degree it can be, but really, it's like if you're put in a situation where you have to take somebody's life and then you have to fight your sibling, it's a whole different situation. You know, you can have trauma, but it's like victimizing yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've been in Guatemala. You know, like I said, I seen that person who busted his head open and inside the street was dying right there, and we couldn't do anything about it. And I could be like, well, And someone has told me before, it's like, well, my brother used to beat me up, so it's like it's about the same. Trauma's not measurable. Well, really, it's if you were put in that situation, what would you do? Would you die? Would you fall apart? It's like there's not much you can do. But I think trauma is really based on what you've been through and what you've seen.
Well, how can you? I guess you could say it's measurable, but how could you call it trauma? For example, like me when I was young, my brother would get me down, put his knees on my shoulders, and slap my face. It was humiliating. My dad used to whip my butt with a belt. Okay, nowadays a lot of people say, "Well, I had a traumatic childhood." Well, how can you compare something like that with, let's say, our soldier friend, Major Matthew Greenwood? He walks in and his buddy gets blown away right beside him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they've been soldiering together for a year or two, and that stuff happens. Now that's traumatic.
That is
Yeah.
genuine.
To
genuinely.
me, or on another note, you're in a car accident and you're with your family. Maybe your mother gets killed and you watch her die right before. Those are what I consider traumatic situations. Not when my brother picked on me or the neighborhood bully got me down when I was 5, which he did, and beat my face in.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I mean, I was just, I didn't like it, but I don't think I have to go to therapy for it.
Yeah, but that's it's a tough world, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you don't go through that stuff, how are you supposed to build yourself up?
And that's why we got so many what they call snowflakes now, because everybody's so.
They get beat up by a bully, and
This is just life.
Yeah.
Pain is a part of life, and it's one of the most precious gifts that we have, because when you're in pain, especially emotional, even physical pain, you're motivated to do something about it more so than when your life is going great. We have a comfortable society. We're almost so comfortable we're dying. We have to exercise because we've made everything so easy. We're killing ourselves
people don't even
as
really
a nation.
People don't even really have to get up to get food or anything like that nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But that's the reason that is because there's people out there fighting for us to be able to
We
be
have
protected.
the freedoms. Yeah, people like the major and other soldiers have given their lives, so we have this ability to have these freedoms and these comforts. So it's like I don't understand how people can. I will say he told me that when they come, they really get treated well, as opposed to the Vietnam soldiers when they came back. They used to spit on those guys and everything, because that was the first time that the war was actually brought in to the homes through television.
Yeah.
So they seen that women were getting killed, innocent women, children were getting killed, and they were blaming the soldiers for it. But these things have been happening in wars for thousands of years. It was just never shown on the TV set where they could actually see what goes on in the wars.
And that's the thing. I was watching this thing the other day, and I heard that people like Afghanistan and stuff like that are very religious. And there was this guy who gave the order to blow up a building or something like that, and he killed the wife's son, 2 sons, and a husband. And he broke down crying. One of the soldiers, they have trouble with that. It's that's very traumatic. That's genuinely traumatic for them. And the people over there are so religious that the lady, even though he killed the two sons and the husband, she was like, well, it's God's will. It's God's will. Like everything happens for a reason. That's what she was telling them. And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like these guys go to war and they make choices and stuff like that. They have to make, because they were getting retaliated against. The people that were in that building were shooting at them. And the people that were lower, like underneath that building, were like a family. But they didn't know. They had to make a choice. It was either let their whole troop die or, blow up the building, which they didn't know any better that there was other people underneath, and, killed multiple people. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like the military and anybody who's in like Marines and stuff like that, they make difficult choices. And they don't realize sometimes when they make these choices that they're taking out other people that they don't want to have to hurt. But they're trying to rescue not only their troops, but they're trying to make sure that the other enemies aren't retaliating against them and making it come to the U.S. and everything like that.
Yeah, they call that collateral damage.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too. Regardless of whether you like the president or not, he wasn't my choice, but that's okay. Everybody badmouths the presidents. All the presidents get badmouthed, but who would want the job?
Yeah.
How many lives are they responsible? Every night they go to sleep after they've been a president, how many innocent men and women have been killed under their orders? Mm-hmm. And they have to live with that. Who wants to live with that? I mean, what is that? So you can badmouth any of the presidents all you want, but would you really want that job? Could you do that? It takes a pretty, different type of a person to be able to handle that kind of a responsibility, to know that you're going to make an order that's going to kill thousands of people, maybe innocent people.
And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like you give them the options, like either kill 10 people or kill 10,000 people. They're like, I'm not going to make that choice. I wouldn't want to make that choice anyway. Well, they don't understand. It's like would you rather want to save the multiple people or just the 10 people? It's like, and you don't want to hurt these other people, but you're making a choice to save more innocent lives. You know?
Right. During World War II, we firebombed cities in Japan that had no, what was it?
No connection to like
to army facilities.
Yeah.
There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now, but just regular towns like Troy.
Yeah.
There were no connection to any kind of military facilities or anything, but we firebombed them to break the will of the Chinese people. And then we dropped the 2-bomb-1 on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to break the will of the people. You know, some of the leaders of the U.S. said, had we lost the war, they would have been tried as war criminals.
Yeah.
War is a terrible thing. And as a matter of fact, 20 years ago today, the 911, everybody called those people terrorists, and yes, that's a word for it. But that is the example of a lesser power trying to attack a greater power, which is us. That's the way they have to do it. We did the similar thing back during the Revolutionary War from Britain. We could not face them, what they called at that time the field of honor, which was they'd all line up on one side, we'd line up on the other, and they just march straight and shoot. That was the honorable way, okay? And what happened on 911, of course, was considered dishonorable. It was an act of terrorism. Okay, we were terrorists during the Revolutionary War because we could not defeat Britain because they were such a powerful nation like that. So we had to hide in the ditches, and we sniped them and shot them, and it was considered really low life stuff. But that's what we did, and it was the only way we could defeat them.
Yeah, because like let's say for example, if you went to Afghanistan or something like that, or any place like that, like Iraq or anything, to them we would seem like we're terrorists.
Yeah,
And
when we
that's-
fight against them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people that come from places like that. That's why people are so racist to them, because of the fact that stuff like that happens. And you don't know what to think of them, but you can't judge them for who they are, because, like, the thing is that they may or may not be that, and you just have to be willing to take that risk. You know, to well, you know, like people like that when they come here, obviously, you know, they start being racist. They're like, oh. You're
You're gonna blow us up, you know, if they
Uh-huh.
come on a plane or something like that. And
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I see somebody with the turban on their head, I mean, I have thoughts like that. I know
Yeah.
it's probably ridiculous because there's millions of them that aren't terrorists and they all dress like that. But over here, we see that and we think, oh, I wonder about
exactly,
that guy.
Yeah. And but the thing is too is it's like they have their own religious beliefs, and
Yeah.
whenever they did the 9/11, they probably thought they did something good.
Exactly. Those
know?
guys, see, it depends which side of the fence you're standing on. Those
Yeah.
guys were heroes to
Yeah.
some families and some
Uh-huh.
people. Just like over here now, we have a sniper that killed, I don't know how many, 100 and some people. He's a hero to us. We consider him a hero, but he's not a hero to the
People and family,
wives
yeah.
and children of the people that he killed.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, and some people here will say, well, they're evil. Well, yeah, that makes it easy, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
it? It makes it okay. War is a terrible thing regardless. It just really is, no matter which side of the fence you're standing on.
Exactly. And that's the thing people don't understand is it's like it's difficult when it comes to war. Most people have never been in war, never had to fight for their own lives. You know, when you have to take another life, it's a very difficult decision because of the fact that you're taking something from someone that you wouldn't want taken from yourself. And people don't understand it's like once something like that happens, it becomes a very difficult life for yourself.
You're never the same again.
Yeah, it's hard to, you know, like you think about what if that was me on that end. You know, probably a lot of soldiers think about that. What if it was me standing over there and I was the one getting shot at because I picked up this gun to protect myself?
Yeah, my friend, I had two friends that were in the Vietnam War, and one of them said he would just stay so high that he never knew if he was killing anybody or not. He would just shoot out there and crazy stuff. My other friend was a sergeant, and they'd go out in the jungle on these scouting expeditions, I suppose, and you just never knew if you were going to come back. He would talk about they would have these punji sticks. It's a stick in the ground that has crap on them, and if you step on it, then of course your foot gets infected and it puts the soldier out. And there's all kinds of other traps and different
Yeah.
things. So you're in constant. Now, see, that would be trauma right there.
Yeah.
You're always wondering whether you're going to die. You just never know when your turn to go. Bullets
And
gonna
that's the
get you.
thing too is it's like I understand sometimes too soldiers get to the point where they get so crazy that they go out of their way just to kill. And they really wouldn't have to do that, but they have to protect themselves. They starts off with just wanting to protect themselves,
Right.
and then they get to this point where maybe they're attacked, and then they're driven to this insanity that they feel like anything's a target.
You
you know.
become animalistic for survival. I mean, war is not, and I've never been in war. I've had friends that were in war that talked to me about it, and I'm grateful that I did and I have to. It's not like they show on the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you may be out there in a foxhole. Where do you go to the bathroom at? You may have to crap in your pants a couple
Yeah.
days. You may have to sit there for a week in your own crap or piss
Mhm.
because you can't get out of the foxhole because you get your head blown off. It's not like you get to shower every day
Yeah.
or you get to clean your feet up. I know in Vietnam they had jungle rot on their feet because they would never be able to take their boots off and they'd get this like jungle rot and it'd eat your feet up and they'd be out of
Yeah.
commission. Just all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff like that. People don't, and then the bugs, the mosquitoes, and et cetera. et
What was
cetera.
that? What was that gas stuff that they would inhale that, and then there was that
Mustard
one.
gas.
That was
No,
during World
it
War
was something else.
One. Mustard gas during World War
It was
One.
something like that. You what's his name? One of your buddies
chlorine.
had one of his half of his lungs.
Oh, that's the Ancient Orange. They use that
Yeah.
to kill the foliage.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got a half of one lung left now.
Yeah, that's what.
And
And,
he's 65.
but
I
that's the
think.
thing is, it's like people don't understand. It's like they've sacrificed, and even if they get
Yeah.
to live, they sacrifice body parts,
Right.
limbs. Anything what happens to be anything inside their body,
Yeah.
and then they come back to the U.S. and maybe still alive, but they're destroyed from the stuff like that.
See, and that takes me back to what, we need to be grateful for those people.
Yeah.
I mean, and grateful for the idea which the flag represents, the idea for what they stood for. Like today in the parade, they had all the flags. It's the idea, we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I don't remember, we used to say it every day in the in school. But, because if we're all here, I mean, everybody's welcome to come to this country, but it's like when you join a basketball team. You're going to play for that team and you're going to go along with
Yeah.
that team. And if you want to come to this country, we need, or was it Franklin Roosevelt said, you need to adapt yourself to our ways and our way of life.
Another thing is that, like whenever you're in, like people who are in the army, there was this one thing where this guy was fighting up against a whole bunch of people, and his hand got shot, and he hadn't thought about it because he was so in the moment when he was firing that after he was done firing, he started freaking out because his fingers were gone. You don't think about it when you're in the moment, but afterwards, that's the kind of stuff that
Yeah, and that's the thing.
up.
They do they do everything they can to protect themselves and protect, the United States. It's like if we didn't have military soldiers out there fighting for us, they would retaliate here in our
Right.
own.
Yeah, they would be here for, we
Yeah,
would be,
ground troops. Dropping
Yeah.
on us and attacking, retaliating against anything.
Paulina, you got any comments here on this?
I was just gonna say about what Henry was talking about earlier. He said that usually people, if they get to live after war or whatever, they come back and they'll be missing like a limb or something. Or it's not only like physical stuff too; it's like mental, like
Yeah.
PTSD. They
Right.
usually, most of the time, people come back with something physical or mental.
And that's the thing. So like I've had buddies too that their parents were, they were ex-military, everything like that. They have bad nightmares. They get up in the middle of the night, sometimes half asleep, and they do stuff that maybe they had to do in their sleep. Attack something or maybe swing at somebody or something like that. But they did that. It's like there was that one saying in one of the wars or something like that: sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
Because what would happen is, I can't remember where it was at, maybe Vietnamese or something like that. They were so small they would crawl up on U.S. soldiers. One would keep the mouth shut, and another one would kill. And they would take like multiple camps out like that.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No,
Like,
I didn't.
Yeah.
they would take camps out, and that's when the whole thing sleep with one eye open, because there was multiple soldiers that would sleep with one eye open and start getting attacked, and all of the soldiers would wake up and retaliate against whoever was attacking them. And that's the thing. It's like people would be like, oh, they're dirty. They're fighting the war. Like you were saying, like they're being cheap. But they're doing what they have to do to survive as well.
Yeah, it's all's fair in love and
Yeah,
war.
exactly. And that's the thing. It's like people don't understand. It's like, and like we were saying, the soldiers go out there, they protect us, and people don't really they aren't happy or they're like appreciate it. They're, like,
just
they're
don't-
killing millions of innocent people.
They
Well,
just don't know any different. They don't know the contrast. See, that's the deal. If you don't know the contrast, you don't. I could see where someone would think, "Oh man, it's tough here, and we don't have this, we don't have that," and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
so
and
much.
another thing too I've heard is like there was like multiple people who have retaliated against us, who someone gave the order, and anybody who was surrounding them, it doesn't matter if they're innocent people or if there was innocent people around them, you retaliate against that guy, and if you take out those innocent people, well, there's not much you can do about it. But that's the thing is, it's like they would do the same thing to us, which I'm
Right.
not saying two rights make a wrong or it doesn't make a right, but the thing is, it's like you can't control everything that goes on. You have to make a decision, and even if sometimes it takes innocent lives for that decision, but it's to protect the greater good. It's like taking 10 lives for a million or.
And then that's something our president has to make a decision
Exactly.
on. And the generals and majors and people like that, a lot of times they have to make a decision.
And they're
which-
telling him like, you're taking out, I don't know, 10,000 people, but it's the greater good for these 1,000 lives because this guy's going to give an order to bomb another place or
Right.
something like
Yeah,
that.
and not only that, but a lot of people get bashed when they come back from the war. But the thing is that if you go to a different state or something like that, and you ask them what's going on in the war, half of the time they don't know what's going on. They just hear what happened afterwards.
Right.
And most of the time they hear the bad news and they start judging people. But the thing is that you don't know what they're doing out there. There's people dying out there. There's people that have to either sacrifice their own life or sacrifice innocent lives for you to be free.
Yeah.
Because and for you not what was it like during during the world wars, people would have to they'd get picked. They didn't have a choice. They had to
drafted.
go
Drafted,
Yeah,
yeah.
they'd have to get drafted to war. But now you don't have to worry about that because if
Yeah,
there's
that's the
people
thing.
out
There's
there.
many troops that are able to go out there and sacrifice their own lives because of the fact that they're taking care of us. You don't have to be drafted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was such a big war that there was people who had to be drafted.
Yeah.
Some people would run away from that
Yeah.
because they don't want to be because they
Went
knew
to
how
Canada,
bad.
a lot of them did.
Yeah, they knew how bad it could get.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like people don't understand, especially nowadays. You don't get drafted, at all back compared to back in probably your time when you could get drafted. People don't realize it's like when you get to that point where you have to sacrifice your own life. Most people run away. They don't want to have to, but most people don't have to sacrifice their life nowadays. So they just criticize anybody who's, well, I won't say anybody, but most people who are in the military or whatever it happens to
Right.
be.
Pauline, I want to know what you said. Some of your friends they won't. They sit down for the flag or whatever. How many people do that? How many kids? Do that?
It depends on what class I'm in.
And what do they tell you? Why do they say they do that? Or
Usually, I don't ask them in person because then it starts like a big thing, and then I'll get in trouble for asking because it's something that they don't have to share. Blah blah blah. I'll usually text them and I'll be like, "So why don't you guys stand for the pledge?" And they're like, "Because it's stolen land." They say that we're standing on stolen land from ancestors when they literally know nothing about it. Like
well,
they-
actually, we did steal it from the Indians, I think.
but it'll
but
be
then our land has been stolen land from the beginning of time.
Yeah, but it'll be like just random people that don't know anything about it, people that don't even, they just do it because other people do it. They do it because the media tells them to do it. They
Yeah.
don't do it because they
Of their own
honestly
free
think
will,
that.
yeah.
They do
Right.
it because they feel like they need
Yeah.
to prove a point.
Yeah,
is what they
Actually,
say.
I asked this one person one time.
That's Frank over there. We didn't introduce ourselves. That's Frank speaking now. This is Paulina, Henry, and Claude, and I'm Mark.
So I asked this one person one time why they didn't do it, and I guess they were part of Pride or whatever, and they're like, our flag's not up there with it, so what's the point? That's what they told me.
But you
one
have
time.
the choice to have that flag because of people who've died.
yeah,
for it.
yeah, and like,
And then, like I was gonna say,
they were
yeah,
like,
peop-
I didn't stand up because my Pride flag's not up
and
there.
people say it's like stolen land, but there's really no land that is really claimed. You can't claim a land. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like maybe there's people that have lived here before, like the Indians, stuff like that, but you don't really own it.
The Indians knew. The Indians knew nobody owns the land. We
Well,
weren't
yeah,
owning
yeah.
land either.
Not only that, but how they say that like this is stolen land. Here's the thing. Yeah, it's obviously stolen land, but here's the thing: those people that have gotten their land stolen, they still come back here because this is the best place you can live in. Like this is where people come to be free. Like people will leave, they'll go out of the country to live here because this is like the land of abundance.
You
know?
got people dying every day just to get here, trying to
Yeah.
get across the border, paying off the coyotes, just so they can get here to have the opportunity that so many people here grew up with and they just can't see it.
And that's the thing. It's like you said, they grow up here and they become privileged and they just expect more out of it. And they get selfish and they get greedy or whatever it happens to be. They like expect more out of America because of the fact that they grew up here. They didn't grow up in a third world country. When you get here, say you're making $12 an hour, most people are happy if you're from a different country to make $12
Oh,
an
that's
hour.
a fortune.
Yeah, I
In
know.
Guatemala, I knew families that made $1 a day. Of course, they let them live on the the finca. That's called like a plantation of finca.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have 5 or 6 kids. They're dirty as hell. Their clothes were all torn up, and they'd give them a little shack to live in. And they had to work in the fields 6-7 days a week, and that's about as close to slavery as anything there is because they
Yeah.
have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, and also the people who go to my school and like they don't. Oh my God, I'm about to lose my train of thought. They don't stand up for the pledge. I feel like they take being up here for granted,
Yeah.
and they think, well, it's not that bad down there, or this. Like, they don't understand that. I bet if they went down there, they would be upset because they took it for granted up here. But like they're always like, well, it's probably not even that bad down here. I probably would have more fun down there because if you look up pictures of third world countries, they look beautiful. It looks like somewhere you
Yeah,
really
On
want
the
to go.
tourist areas,
Yeah, for vacation and stuff. But like if you really go down there, it's not the way it seems. That's kind of
It's
how.
that's the thing. It's like it's filthy. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one time I was in this taxi thing. It was called a tuk tuk down there.
Yeah, tuk-tuks.
Yeah,
Three-wheel-
and
three-wheel
me and my
transportation.
younger sibling got in a fight and he kicked me out, and one of the cars ran over my arm, but they didn't stop. They kept
Yeah.
going.
Oh, it's, yeah.
You know, that's the thing is, it's like they could have run me over completely, and they would have kept going. It's not like up here in the U.S., you know, and that's the thing. And then people like me and my siblings, we look white, and they take advantage of that. We could have gotten kidnapped for money or anything like that, or taken for anything. You know, they
Right.
would have traded us for some food. You know,
Yeah, and they have open discrimination down there. I remember one time riding on a bus back from a lake up in the mountains to this other town, and they made the Indians, of course, they still dress in traditional wear, the Mayans, the Indians, they made them sit in the back of the bus. Open discrimination. Up here,
Yeah.
we make a big deal out of things sometimes when people aren't even sure if they're even getting discriminated against, but they think they might be. Well, down there, they openly do it. Nobody does anything, can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like in discrimination nowadays, I mean, like you used to tell me back in the day, it used to be if you were, you're black or something like that, or if maybe you were a certain
Black,
type of race.
Indian, Japanese, Chinese,
Yeah, but now
whatever.
discrimination compared to nowadays is like if you have a couple tattoos or you got a couple piercings on your face or something like that.
Right.
And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like if you're trying to get hired into a business that's very, they're classy, they have wear suits and ties, and you come in there, you got a bunch of piercings on your face.
And one of those nose rings.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't wear that, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You can
Yeah.
wear it, but like if you're trying to get hired for a certain job, you got all these tattoos on your face. You got certain piercings. You don't look like someone who might be classy. You look more like a criminal. They don't want to hire you, and it's not really about discrimination. They
Yeah,
have
you
a
may be
certain,
a great guy.
Yeah.
It's just the problem is not everybody looks at it that way.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing is like you want to have somebody. If let's say you have a really good business and people dress nice and they have good style and everything like that. They don't want to have someone coming in there with a t-shirt and sweatpants representing their company.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
was gonna say, all these people who are getting like body mods and all that sort of stuff, like changing their face or changing their limbs. Like, the thing is that I think you should be okay with who you are, because there are people who come back from the war and they have to have a glass eye or they're missing a leg and an arm. That's something they'll never get back. So-
Yeah. Another thing
There's-
too, like I want to add on to that. I don't mean to cut you off, but when it comes to doing all that stuff, it's like like we were talking before. You have all the freedom to do that stuff because of the people that have
Because
gone
of
out
the
there to risk
people
their
who-
lives.
Yeah.
And then people complain because you don't accept who they are. Well, you don't like me because I have this haircut. You're judging me. It's like in thousands and thousands of years of biology, we judge people because we want to keep ourselves safe. And people don't realize that. And like, don't get me wrong, some people feel like you shouldn't judge everybody, but you do that for your own safety. But not only that, but because of the people might, if they look a certain way, you might treat them a certain way because of the fact that you don't want to get retaliated against. It's just like how military soldiers go out. They're careful around men who maybe are like from Afghanistan or something like that because they might have a gun. They might have hidden.
Right.
It's anything like that.
Yeah, the thing is that what was I gonna say? And here in the U.S. you have like dogs as pets, but when the dog gets abandoned and it joins a pack and you start walking around alone, that pack's gonna attack you. Most of the time, they kill people. That's what they
in
do.
Guatemala, there's been times when packs of dogs have because they get hungry enough. That's the thing. That's another thing I want to get on top is like people don't get hungry enough up here to want to go out and do some work.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't. If there wasn't no government help,
Yeah, we got the food pantry right
Yeah.
up there.
If there wasn't no
how many days
government
a week
help,
they can just go up there and load up the food in
they
their
would.
car.
They would have to go out there and work and to make. I mean, people have like social anxiety, and they don't go out and work because of that. And really, if it came down to it, if they could work and they had to, they would go out there and do something because they
Well,
were
I would
hungry.
say here in the U.S., if you starved, it would be by choice because there's so many places giving away food. It would have to be by your choice of not asking for food.
Yeah.
You don't have to work. You wouldn't have to work. Now, in other countries, if you don't work, you'll starve. There's nobody to ask for food. Now, a lot of the countries like where we were at, they would fold up if it weren't for the outside aid coming in there from other countries.
Yeah.
And another thing, it makes the U.S. the greatest country in the world. We give away probably, I haven't checked the stats, but more money to other countries and other people than any other country in the world.
And that's the thing too, is it's like you can give all the poor people all of the millions of dollars, but they don't have the mindset to be able to handle that. They don't have the. That's the thing, is it's like there's this, I don't know, there was a saying by somebody, and it goes, you can give all the poor people money, but by the end of the day or something, by the
You can separate it. You can take
Yeah.
all the money in the world and divide it up evenly amongst everybody, and in 5 years it'll be back in the hands of the people that had it
Yeah.
because they have the mindset of a millionaire, and the other people have the mindset of poverty. You can take the person out of the poverty, but only they can take the poverty out of themselves.
exactly.
Paulina, you were going to say something.
Earlier how we were talking my phone. Earlier how we were talking about the flag and everything. I remember there was this video going around of this girl, and she was like screaming at her phone talking about, what did you guys do to earn your flag besides bully us LGBTQ people? Like, she was like, we earned our flag. What did you guys do? And then people would put like videos of guys in the army because like it was dumb of her to say that, because she was talking about how we didn't earn the American flag, like whatever. So she was like, you guys literally did nothing to earn it besides bully us and treat us like crap and blah, 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 when she didn't realize that people went to the army to fight for freedom.
Well,
that
and that's
way.
that's the thing. People.
Well, it's just out of ignorance. They don't know the history.
Yeah,
They don't really,
people-
she doesn't understand.
Yeah,
Probably.
people died for that flag.
And that's the thing. People, I mean, there's been people who have died for people to have the chance to have the LGBTQ flag and to do the parades and to
right, to have the rights to
And
do that.
then
In
that's-
some countries, they would be killed.
be. Yeah.
I mean, in Dubai, it's against the law to be gay. I had a friend of mine. He's gay and he's married to another man. They went there, but they could not went there as a married couple.
Yeah, that's
because
the
it's
thing.
against the law.
That's
So,
the
but
thing,
here
yeah.
they can do that. I mean, I have clients that are married, gay men. They're married, and nobody bothers them.
That's the thing. It's like you said, like for example in Guatemala, it's like there's been people who have been burned and killed just because of the fact that they were gay or whatever happened to be.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's like people don't understand. It's like you have such freedom up here in the
yeah,
U.S.
they don't know the contracts.
Yeah.
They don't realize how good they have
Do
it.
some research on, like, really genuinely do some research, like, and don't just criticize because of the fact that, well, they don't have a standard government. They don't understand what it's like. It's like you're fortunate to have something like that. It's like you could be living in that. You could have been born down in the country and been killed because you choose to love another man or another woman or whatever happens
Well, like
to be.
what you said about these crippled people. Where we lived at, if you didn't have insurance or you didn't have there's crippled people because they got run over by buses and they couldn't get here. If you go to the hospital, they have to help you.
Yeah.
Down there, no, they don't have to.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, let's say you get run over by a bus or something like that. It's not like you can go and sue. Like nowadays, I have people sue for anything. There's that kid who sued his parents for taking his pornography away from him like that, and he got I think like $45,000 or something for like. But that's the thing is like people don't understand. It's like down in Guatemala, if you get run over, you can't sue somebody for that.
No,
they get away
run
with
over,
it.
Yeah, they run over people down there. They leave them there. I've
Yeah.
seen bodies in the street because they just leave them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is sometimes his bodies will sit there for days, or the bones would just be crushed, and they just get in a wheelchair or something, or they crawl away, or whatever happens to be. It's like people don't understand the difference between living up here and living in a different third
Yeah,
world
I've
country.
seen kids down there as young as 13 and 14 walking around with a glue bottle in their nose all day long, just messed up, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
They just don't. There's no
and another
help.
thing, another thing too is it's like young women, they go out there and sell their bodies for money to feed their family.
Prostitution, yeah, it's underage prostitution
Yeah.
because they have to. They have no other way to survive.
Yeah, they have to feed their families or take care of their families because maybe their parents don't have a job, or maybe they have to take care of themselves because their parents are alcoholics.
It usually takes the whole family, and that's why the families down there live together. That's why you have Spanish people from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Salvador. paying thousands of dollars to the cartel to get up here to work so they can send money back to their families, risking their lives to get up here to this country that so many of us take for granted so they can work. And they're coming here because we have supply and demand. There's a demand for the workers because the people here are not filling that demand.
Yeah.
And we're not supplying the demand, so that's why they come here. They wouldn't be here if the American younger people were taking advantage of the opportunities that are here.
And that's the thing. It's just like I've heard multiple people say, or like even you sometimes. It's like you need to have like a Mexican do your yard because they do good work. They are hard working.
good workers.
Yeah, like I remember when we lived in that trailer, there was a guy out there working in the rain. He kept going. You're like, oh, well, you can stop. He's like, no, I can keep working. You know, I can keep doing it. You're like, I'll just go ahead and stop for the day. But that's the thing. They work hard as hell because they
Yeah.
have the dedication. And on top of that, they knew what it was like working hard just to make that $1 an hour or whatever.
Yeah, they're the ones up here doing the roofing, the landscaping. They'll get up and start at 6 o'clock in the morning and work till it's dark.
And that's the thing. People are like, oh, you're racist for saying that. No, they just do really good
it's
work.
a compliment. They're good
Yeah,
workers.
they work hard. Like they work hard as hell. They go
Yeah.
out there and they really do impeccable work. Like the guy we have like mowing our lawn, he does fantastic work.
Yeah.
You go out there and look at our lawn, it looks brand new.
Yeah, and he does that on the side. He works for another company.
Yeah,
He comes
and that's the
works
thing.
for
And he
us.
makes really good money doing that. And I know he's appreciative of doing that because he probably lived when he was younger. He didn't make much money or
And
anything
I
like
guarantee
that.
he's probably got family back there. You know,
Yeah,
sends money
and he
back.
takes care of him and everything like
Are you
that.
going to share something, Polly?
I thought you were gonna ask me something, so I.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow. But
okay.
yeah, but people don't realize it's like.
Frank's taking the dog there.
Okay, but yeah, it's just like Hispanic people work really hard. They do a lot of good work. Like they can work all day out in the sun, you know, burning up and everything like that, and they'll keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like a lot of people out here in the U.S. they couldn't work more than 3 hours a day
Well,
because you know
they grow up in air conditioning. They go from air conditioning to heating from air
Yeah.
conditioning. They just don't know how to take the climate. It's hard.
and that's the thing too is it's like and even I've experienced it's like they get all this stuff.
Get up on
most-
the table.
Most people don't go out and enjoy the wildlife or whatever it happens to be. They don't. I lost my train of thought because there's a dog, but
We have a dog here. Need to
but
get the dog out for
but people are soft because they have they have video games, they have TV. They don't go out there and hurt, scratch their hands up and cut their hands up and make their hands rough. You know, most
Right.
guys, I believe a woman should like you know get out and enjoy the fresh air, but I feel like she shouldn't go out there like as a guy or a boy. And I mean, unless you're a tomboy or something like
unless
that.
she wants to.
Yeah, unless she wants to, and go out there in the wilderness and you know play with sticks or pick up worms or something like that. You know.
And that's something too. We have a lot of, I think, women complaining about equality of opportunity, that they don't get to make the same amount of money as men do. But if you live in another country, third world country, the women are in the houses raising the kids, doing
Yeah.
the work. I mean, they have to be there because they don't have washing machines. They got to wash on a washboard. They got to hang the clothes. I remember when I lived down, there was a woman who lived down the street from us. She had 5 or 6 kids. She washed clothes every morning for about 4 hours. She'd have to hang them out and then plus cook food and do all that other stuff. We have such a luxury, comfortable life up here that you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and the opportunity is there for women, but how many women want to do the kind of work we do? How many women? The men are the ones that do the tough jobs. They're the ones that want to work all the hours. They're more goal orientated,
Yeah.
and women are more relationship orientated. I mean, it's like our business. We don't see many women doing what we do
Yeah.
because they don't want to do it. They don't want to have paint on their hands and have their hands all rough and
Yeah.
wear the clothes and get dirty like we do during the day sometimes and get so much
Sometimes work out in that hot.
get
sun,
paint in your
you know.
eyes and you can't see. You got to wash
Yeah.
that crap out. I mean, they don't want to do that, and I don't blame them. I don't really want them doing it. Now, there might be a rare few, one or two that doesn't. If they want to do that and they can do the same job as a man, then they ought to get paid the same.
Yeah.
If they do better, they should get paid more. I'm all for equal opportunity here in the U.S., but once again, they have the opportunity to do that, and as in other countries, they don't. And where we lived at, it's probably maybe it's different now, but women weren't allowed to drive trucks,
Yeah.
big trucks. They weren't allowed.
Yeah, and that's
See?
the thing too is like for example, let's say a guy works up on the office and a female's doing the same thing, but he's putting out more work and he's getting, let's say he's getting paid more. Some females don't think that's equal. You know, they're getting paid the same or it's not equal. But that's the thing is it's like a guy's doing, like you said, guys are more goal oriented.
Goal oriented.
Yeah, it's like, and that's what women don't understand. It's like guys are more goal oriented, women's more kind of relationship. She cares about people, you know, like,
Right.
and she wants to take care of, you know, whatever happens to be. That's why you see more nurses being women.
They're better at building relationships.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People don't understand that. And, like, some women don't understand that either. They want to be like men, but men and women are built different.
And isn't it odd? They want to be like men, but then on the other hand, and they become masculine, but yet then some of them bash masculinity.
Yeah.
So it's like the very thing that they complain about, they want to become.
And yeah, that's the thing.
I guess
People-
that's a little off topic, but
Yeah,
that's part of being
but
American.
that- yeah,
But
part-
in America, they have the right to shoot for that if they want
Yeah.
to. As we're in other countries, I imagine like Afghanistan, they couldn't even open their mouth about something like that, or liable to get beat or killed.
Yeah.
Or even down in Latin America, a lot of those countries, they wouldn't even have
Well,
a
that's
chance.
if they try to
even-
fight for equal rights. All those women get beat
Yeah,
up. by
where
their
we
men or-
lived at, there was less than a 1% charge rate on murders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people die down there, and women too. The value of life is very low. Women, if they find a woman in the ditch center, dead, raped, whatever, unless she was some very important person, they don't spend any
Yeah.
time investigating.
Mm-mm.
They won't do anything about it.
Yeah,
And
that's the
for
thing.
that fact, they wouldn't do it for a man either.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is down there.
And people are like, "Oh, we should help those people," blah blah blah. And it's like the rich, like for example, the rich should be helping those people, but people don't understand. It's like the rich do more for those people than the people who don't have too much money do.
And that's something else too. A lot of people badmouth rich people. Well, we live down there, and it's poverty. A lot of poverty there, and it's a much more dangerous living in an impoverished country or an impoverished neighborhood than it is living in a rich neighborhood.
Yeah.
I go down to any neighborhood down there. Let's just say middle class, not just rich. I'll walk through there at night, but you go down in an impoverished neighborhood.
Rubbing.
Let's say, let's
Harold
say-
rubbing. So.
let's say down the inner city, very dangerous to walk through there. So people want to badmouth people with money, but yet the poorer the country and the poorer the neighborhood, the more dishonesty and deceit and criminal activity usually there is.
Yeah, that's true. It's like people don't understand. It's like they badmouth the rich people and they're like, "Oh, they're criminals. They're greedy." As
That's
hell.
how they got their money.
That's how they got their money. But
And some, I'm sure there are.
yeah, I mean, there is
some.
some, but that's the thing. You go to a rich neighborhood compared to, like you were saying, a poor neighborhood with like almost no money. You have 100 or probably a more likely chance of getting robbed in the poor neighborhood than you would the rich.
Right.
You know, it's like because they're not gonna. Then people will be like, well, it's because they already had them. They already stole it from me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not even about that. It's like they just aren't built that like.
Yeah, I
like-
got robbed down there with 4 men with guns, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of attempted robberies physically on me, and it never happened up here.
yeah.
And I was in some dangerous places up here, but it
Well,
never
that's the
happened.
thing. It's just like compared to up here, and compared to Guatemala or something like that, you couldn't leave stuff out. Like your statues, they
No.
might get stolen.
No, you can't. No.
Yeah, or if you left a bike out or something like that, someone would try to.
Yeah,
they would snag
any
that out.
place like we live in now, we'd have to have an armed guard here, a
Yeah.
couple armed guards,
and
if we wanted to
built
leave
up
things-
walls and stuff like
built
that.
a wall with razor wire on
Yeah.
top of it. See, but once again, it goes back to there's no contrast. People don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how good it is because they don't know how difficult and hard it is in other countries.
Yeah, that's true. People
Clean
don't-
water. We have clean water. You guys, how many times when you end up drinking the water down there and you got parasites?
Yeah.
Because
Or
if you don't-
taking showers.
Yeah,
always
taking
it was always cold
showers.
showers. That wasn't
cold showers, yeah.
And that's the thing. Like back to the main topic. Is like we don't if there wasn't people like for example up here there wasn't soldiers fighting for us, we wouldn't have the hot water, hot meals, safe home. A comfortable place to be able to go to sleep at night and not worry about somebody kicking your door down and maybe robbing you or kidnapping you.
And also the infrastructure in our country so they can travel across country in the trucks and deliver the food and the
Yeah.
trains. That was all built by men.
Yeah.
A lot of them were soldiers. A lot of them were previously soldiers and they were in business, and men built all these things. I think sometimes, too, it seems like there's a move to feminize men, that there's something even wrong with masculinity. But the men are the ones that do most of the inventing. They do the conquering, of course, and they do the building. It's just not a job that a woman wants to do. And that's another reason why they make more money most of the time. They may
Yeah.
work for hours.
Yeah.
And they spend 7 days a week, so many hours a day, and
They're built
focusing-
for that. Yeah.
buildings, doing something.
That's the thing too. Is it's like that's why a lot of the soldiers are men because they can withstand staying up for days at a time. Not eating maybe for like a week or so.
Well, just emotionally and mentally stronger than women. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying there's not a woman that isn't strong, but in general.
Yeah, in general, yeah, most men are very able to continue to do stuff like that. and that's why a lot of men make really good soldiers. That's why men make extremely good soldiers, and they can. I mean, there's been men who've, I think there was the strongest man in the world or something like that. He did. I can't remember what he did. He was in the Marines. He did all kinds of.
Terry Goggins.
Yeah, he did all the stuff, and what really led up to him doing that was because he was bullied when he was younger. And
Yeah,
stuff
he was
like
a
that.
wimp when he was younger. And
Yeah.
he didn't want to be a wimp, so he started doing things that made him uncomfortable.
Yeah, and made him stronger, and he kept
Yeah.
going. It's like that's incredible.
Yeah, it goes back to what I said. We've become so comfortable here. It's like we just, we've become soft. We're not really a very healthy nation in general. I think 40% of the population is overweight or obese. And once again, people have given their lives, so we actually have the opportunity to become too comfortable, so comfortable where actually
Yeah.
our health is bad.
One of the things too is it's like I know a couple of people who actually really dislike this country so much they want anarchy to the point where people just do what they want and they like take what they want. And that's the thing people don't understand. It's like most people for the most part, the people that want anarchy would be the first people to die because of the fact that they're strong enough to be able to withstand something like that.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm the strongest person, but I feel like I could definitely survive, especially because I have so many brothers and you, and we could.
Yeah, you would have to stick together. And that's
Yeah.
another thing I was thinking about today. I don't know if it's in one of the elite pledges or whatever. It says, united we stand, divided we fall. And I see all these things causing division, like these, let's say, all these genders. And then we had all this about the police and the African Americans and this Democrats and Republicans. And now it's the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. All these things cause division. We need to stand united together or divided will fall.
Yeah.
And I see this, I don't know where this is coming from or if it's, I don't really know. I remember back when I was a kid, the ominous Russian in first grade on the overhead projector said, "We will take over America," which was communist socialism. There kind of seems to be a push for socialism. We will take over America without ever firing a shot. And these things that are going on now in the U.S. actually will cause our nation to fall from within.
Yeah.
It's just we have a lot of division.
Yeah.
We
I
have
think
this group, that group, another group, and we all need to bond together, regardless of whether we're Spanish. You guys are half Spanish. I'm German, Irish descent. Whether you're African American, Irish, whatever it happens to be, Mexican, Honduran, Colombian, whatever it happens to be. Once we come here, we all need to find a way to work together and stand united.
Yeah.
We can all have different ideas. I have friends that don't want to be vaccinated. I have friends that want to be vaccinated. It's their choice. I don't think any less of them. They're still my friends.
Yeah.
Why?
But that's the thing,
Some people
yeah.
believe different than I do. They can believe whatever they want.
People get to the point where they believe a certain way, and then they start attacking or criticizing people for the way that they don't believe.
the other people.
And that's the thing. It's like you do what makes you feel like you're safe. You do that, but the moment you start trying to push it on somebody, they're obviously going to feel like they're being attacked, and they're going to act the same way.
Yeah, I don't care whether you're gay, transgender, or one of the other genders. It doesn't matter to me. It's like I said, I got gay clients. I've got gay friends. And I would stand with them the same as I would anybody else. Now, I'm not gay, but it doesn't matter. We're all Americans, and we need to stick together.
Yeah.
We have to have a common bond, and regardless of our religious, political, sexual beliefs or sexual orientation or whatever,
Yeah.
we don't need to let these things divide us as a nation. And that's kind of what it seems like it's being pushed to do.
Yeah, and one of the main things that really pushes that is like people are unhappy with the way they are with themselves, whether you're, race or maybe your sexual orientation. But the moment you find the happiness within yourself, being happy with who you are and how you are, you can be okay with everything else. Find peace within before you try to make the peace without.
Right.
Yeah,
You want to make a better world? Start with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Start with where you are at and where you're at with your I don't know what you believe in.
Pauline, you're quiet tonight. What do you think of the state of the nation?
I don't know. I don't know much. I'm only 14. You guys are older, so you
Yeah,
know
but
more.
actually, you're right in there. You're the future of America, and you're going to school with the future of America. So what's your outlook on how the future of America may be? Oh, come on.
Well,
Give me
okay.
some
I
optimism
don't have
here.
much. What is it?
Faith?
Faith, yeah, in how we're gonna be when we all get older, because everybody in my school's kind of already been brainwashed. Like they're already teaching like people who just started preschool.
Want to join us?
that it's okay to be trans. Like people are, like you said the other day, parents are starting to give their kids pills to be like
something when I had the other.
to be like if they were born a girl and the person wanted a boy, they would give them pills. So when the hormone pills or
Is
whatever.
your mic on?
And
You should.
I don't know. I don't have very much faith in.
I think so.
Well, I find that strange because I know as a child growing up, and a lot of kids growing up, I had mixed feelings towards both sexes. So it's really a confusing time during puberty and different things like that. I think it's really, just my opinion, it's too early for a child to be making a decision like that. And also, really, until a child is 18, at least here in this state, or 17 or 18, are not legally able to even give their consent for any kind of sexual activity with someone who's an adult. So to me, these seem like adult decisions. So just my opinion, I think that's a little early to start transitioning into anything.
Yeah.
Because
Another thing too, I want to say is like Paulina said something about them taking pills. Medication nowadays, people take medication for anything instead of, for example, going out there and exercising. People get sick, and the moment they get sick is they go to their doctor, and the doctor gives them medication. How about instead of doing that, maybe try one time going out there and maybe doing a little jog or having a walk, just a regular walk, every single day, getting a breath of air. Like vitamin D is very good for you, the sun. Eating healthier, that'll help a lot of people that are overweight or maybe aren't healthy in general not get sick all the time. That's the thing. I know a lot of people. I've had a couple friends who all they ate was junk food, and then the one time they got sick, they had to go to the hospital and had to have surgery, and now they have to have, what are those bags called?
colostomy bag.
Yeah, they've had something, and that was just one time of them getting sick, but it was constant, processed food, stuff like packaged, pizzas, and you eat organic and stuff like that, so we eat stuff like that, more organic stuff,
Right.
and sometimes like I have trouble, like maybe I have stomach problems or something like that, but first thing we don't do is go to the doctor. You tell me, well, maybe you should start eating healthier. Maybe you should start exercising, and that's the thing I would suggest for anybody. Start doing some exercise. It doesn't have to be, start lifting weights right away. Just go for a walk.
So
walk
pretty much go and take the harder way, the harder
Yeah.
the harder route
Instead of taking the
compared to
easier
go
pill
for the
or-
quick,
yeah.
quick relief, and
Easy
even
fix.
most of the medication nowadays is not even a quick relief. You got to wait like a week or so.
Yeah.
Why don't you take that week to work on yourself and really decide what's going on within yourself and everything like that, instead of going and taking that week and taking that pill, what I'm
and
saying,
just sitting at home
for
doing
it
nothing, yeah.
and waiting for it to kick in. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and in the U.S., like how you were talking about that, we have the 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Like 95% of the people, they won't go out of their way to do something or make themselves better, but the 5% will. And the thing is that in other countries, there's no percentage. They all work hard to get where they want to be.
They're not really, and that's the thing. In other countries, when you're hefty or you're bigger, it's seen as a sign of abundance.
Yeah.
Up here in the U.S., there's so many big people. It's just seen.
Well, but it actually is a sign of abundance.
Yeah,
because
we
you
have
have
plenty of
so
food.
much food that we have an obesity problem.
Well, so
Yeah.
much food and so much luxury and so many things to
And
make
so many
life
comforts,
easier. Like
Right.
you don't even have to get up to get this food. You got DoorDash,
That's the thing,
you
yeah.
got Postmates.
You can have. That's the thing. You could put instructions on like a Domino's delivery. Bring it inside for me.
Damn near.
Wear a
yeah,
mask
really.
just as long as you know.
Yeah, as long as you're wearing a mask, please bring it inside for me. Set it on a table. And as far as you're concerned,
Cut it up for me.
cut it up, put it on a plate. Put some ranch on the
Forks in
side.
the middle drawer.
yeah.
Like you
But
really
seriously, it's like it's so.
specific instructions
Yeah,
on
I'll
most
take
of
3
them.
cubes of my soda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please, thank you. So it's like nowadays there's just such an abundance that there is literally even for ordering specific instructions.
Yeah, at Walmart, at Walmart, people can literally get your groceries
For you, yeah.
Yeah, I saw
open
that
your
all
door,
day.
your
And
trunk.
actually, I thought about doing that because I'm so busy. I don't always
Well,
have
and
time
that's
to
the
go
thing. It can
shopping.
be convenient or it can be overused.
Overused,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
Like
for example-
maybe you genuinely can't walk because you have leg problems, not because you're overweight, but maybe you have broken legs or maybe you were crippled when you were born.
or
that's-
even just being busy like that, like you're busy
Yeah.
all the time. You could quickly order it on the app and then just pull up and have them put it in your car
Yeah.
and then you can leave. you
Yeah,
know?
like those little carts at Walmart where you get groceries. Those were actually used for people who who are like crippled and all that sort of stuff. But now people who are obese have to use them.
Yeah.
They choose to use them because they would much rather
like,
do that than try to walk.
For example,
in the
like
store.
the
Some of them can't walk.
handicaps parking spots are in the front, and a lot of the handicapped people are overweight. And the reason they have handicap is because they can't walk that distance because they have so much weight. They might hurt themselves walking all that
and
way.
for the most part, like us, they have to walk through the store in general
and that's the
already.
thing,
So
even
that's
some
And
of
they're
the-
basically eating themselves to death because we live in a land of such abundance.
I mean,
because
yeah.
we've had people that fight and died, so we'd have such a wonderful life.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a lot of people who have to get surgery because they've gotten so big that when they start working on losing weight, you got that extra skin.
But that's the thing too. Is it's like Dad was saying. It's like we have so many options here because of the people that have fought for us, like credit cards, money that we don't have for ourselves, which is credit cards, loans, all kinds of stuff like that. But that is because of the people who have gone out there and risked their lives for us to have these options.
Yeah, for sure.
We have I could right now. I could probably go out and get $1,000 or something loan, and maybe start building something up, or I could use that to put myself in debt and start drowning myself with alcohol and drugs or something.
Those temporary quick fixes.
quick fixes. Yeah, that's what really most of this generation and most general people nowadays, they focus on the quick fix.
Microwave society. Well, the microwave's probably outdated now. It's something else.
Yeah, it might be something else, but like I said, most people they go for the quick fix. We're guilty. We're all guilty of it and everything.
I mean, I've done it too. Yeah, multiple times.
It
Exactly.
never ends well, though. That's the problem.
No, it doesn't. It might give you what you want for the time being,
short
but it's just
term.
not going to last like you want it to. Now, instead of if you work for it, really put your effort into it, really put your heart and soul into it, and then next thing you know, you have it.
Well, that's the thing too. Is it's like when it comes to the quick fix, most people are unhappy. They get unhappy because of that, and then they start trying to change something outside of themselves. Like defund the
right.
police or whatever happens to be. They start hopping on this train, which they think is going to make them happy, but at the end of the day, even if they got what they wanted, it's always going to be something else.
Yeah, it's just like there'll never be peace in the world until there's peace inside
Exactly,
of each
like
and
we
every
were
person.
talking. Yeah.
Because everything comes from the
And like you
man.
said on your book, like the power within. You're talking about. You quoted Gandhi. Be the change.
Yeah,
that
be
you
the
wanna,
change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, and most people think like, oh yeah, no, if I go and pay for this, fundraiser or something for this, that's not gonna help. It's not necessarily that. Like you said, you were talking about on the book. You said that it's something more. You have to look within yourself, really dig deep, and then once you start doing the work within yourself, you'll see what the world will bear witness.
Well, giving helps the giver more than the given.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I said earlier before you came here was America is one of the greatest countries in the world because we probably, I don't know the stats, but I think we probably give away more money and help other nations and people in the world than any other country.
And that's the thing too is it's like America is able to do that and then back to what we've been talking about is because people go out there and risk their lives. They're doing all this stuff for us so we can do stuff like that to help other people out. I know there's been soldiers out there that have probably gone out there and helped lives, saved other lives that don't have to do with anything with America. I know Taliban takes control of villages and stuff like that, and there's been soldiers who take care of them and they protect them and everything like that. And it's like American soldiers do a lot more than people think. It's not really about the innocent lives that they take, but about the innocent lives that they protect.
They protect.
People don't realize how much they
Yeah.
do. That's the thing. More people are taking, like the Taliban and everything like that. They take more people of their own. They take more of their own people than the U.S. probably
The
does.
U.S. It would ever even do.
Yeah,
Yeah, then that's for
exactly.
sure. That's what makes it like you said, such a great nation. Abundance, protection, and because of it's great. But
Yeah.
because of that, sometimes comes a lot of entitlement, and
Yeah.
that's why.
But
people
I can
feel-
see why other countries, like, as a matter of fact, Afghanistan or the Taliban, I don't know anything about them, but I could see where they would look at us as a corrupt
Yeah.
enemy of God. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see
Well,
it
yeah.
because we have so many things that probably are against what they believe in.
Yeah.
And actually what are against a lot of people here in the U.S. even believe in.
Yeah.
So many things that we would have considered immoral 50 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I certainly understand why other countries may look at us as the scourge of the world, possibly,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
cancer of the world. I mean, even though I love my country and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else,
Yeah.
there are certain aspects of our country
Well,
that
there's certain countries where what do? They
Lynch people.
well, and then they do some. What is it that they do to women? They
Oh, castrated.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
can't have pleasure or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's something they've been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah.
I, of course, don't agree with that, but I'm not.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like, dude,
That's
they,
their culture.
they do that, and then they see how some of the American women are, where they're out there, sleeping with multiple guys, and
Yeah.
that's why they think that, oh well, these people are bad because these women are becoming uncontrollable to them.
Exactly.
That's what they. That's
Yeah.
how they see it.
Well, okay, we look at that as terrible, and I don't like that either. But another country may look at us like we used to circumcise all the boys over here.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that now, but other countries may think that is an atrocity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as we look
It's-
at
what
women
is it?
being circumcised.
What'd you say it
being
was? It was, or what did it say it was? It was cruelty or something like that.
cruel,
or,
some kind of abuse, cruelty, or
Yeah,
something. Someone
it
was
was,
talking about that the other day.
I can't
They said
remember
it
what the word
affected
is.
men that they couldn't. It caused them to have erectile dysfunction earlier, and it desensitized them. They couldn't enjoy sex as much.
I'm gonna remember
I'm
the word.
circumcised, and I never experienced any problems. And everybody I knew was circumcised growing up. Nobody ever complained or said anything about it. So I don't know where
wouldn't know
that's
what that
coming
word
from.
was. It
But
was-
once again, see, we have it so good and so comfortable. It's
Mutilation.
almost-
Sorry.
Yeah, it's almost like we look for things to focus on that really don't amount to much, because here's like all these things that are going on now, these arguments over gender, this thing about the circumcision with boys, and I don't know what else. All these division aspects that people are bringing would mean nothing if we had a war.
Yeah.
Not that I want a war, but everybody would come together and realize how unimportant these things are. But when we don't have anything to focus on, it's almost like people are looking for things to be offended about, looking for things they want to
Problems,
change
yeah.
outside, when really they're so comfortable, I don't think they want to look within. So they're picking apart. It's kind of like Jesus said, and I'm not a big religious guy, pick the log out of your own eye before you pick the speck out of your brother's eye. They're looking out there at the speck, and they don't want to look at the log inside themselves, because if they were all right with themselves, they might not be focusing on these small details of life.
Yeah.
I'm all for change for the better, and everybody should be treated equally regardless of sexual preference, color, creed, race, whatever. But some of these things, like, where does it end at? You're never going to grow up in a country where you're not going to be offended by something. It's just part of life. Thank God I was offended. It made me into a stronger person. I was bullied. It didn't kill me. It's just part of growing up.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is it's like they teach you in school sometimes. When I was in school, at least, they teach you if you ever get in a fight, cover up. Don't protect yourself. But that's the thing is, it's like the U.S. They protect. I mean, we protect ourselves
Yeah,
when it
we
comes.
got soldiers
we
out there
get-
right now protecting us. So.
They get retaliated against, they will attack back, and that's the thing. I believe if you're getting attacked or anything like that, you have the right to self-defense. Even if you get kicked out of school, you know what I'm saying? Like, protect yourself, swing back. Don't sit there and let yourself get pummeled. And on top of
Right.
that, it comes with bullying too. Is it's like if you don't do something about it, it's just going to continue to happen.
Yeah, the bully keeps bullying.
Yeah, exactly. But you have the option to do that too. It's just like you can either let yourself get bullied or you can stand up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so we all have these, all these options, many choices, like playing video games or anything like that, or going out there and maybe some people go out there and murder people. But you have these options because of the fact that we have been protected for thousands and thousands of years by people that have risked their lives for us.
Yeah, soldiers throughout centuries. I wasn't here for about 300 or 400 years, but 1776 we came over here. Yeah, if it wasn't for the people coming over here and actually fighting the enemy.
But even then, like even before we were over here, there's other people protecting us before that, where we
Right,
lived before,
right, over in Europe and different places,
risking
like
their
that.
lives. But there was that one thing, what was it, the Homestead Act or something like that? But that was like back in, I think it was before it might have been during the Revolutionary War or something like that, where you have to have soldiers be able to live in your own house, and you have to protect them, or you have to feed them, give them somewhere to sleep.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think it was called like the Homestead Act or something like that.
I'm not
where,
sure.
where they would be able to sleep where, like, and that's one of the things that drove the.
They can pretty much take shelter in your house
Yeah.
and take
Food and-
food, water,
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, but that was like back in. I think it was like back in maybe war.
During the Civil War.
And it might have been farther
I
back
think
than
I
that.
think it was probably during the Civil War. If it wasn't during like the Confederate War, what was
Or
that?
maybe
Civil
something
War?
like
Was that
that.
the Civil War?
Revolutionary War. Revolutionary War was in 1776.
So I think that was
Was
probably
it?
whenever
Yeah, it might have been.
probably
Yeah,
Confederate. I think it might.
it might have been. Yeah,
It was one. It was one of the two because people were so like
yeah,
against it. You know
yeah,
what
they
I'm
didn't
saying?
like
So-
it. Yeah,
Now, see, there you had division right there. The war against slavery. Some people believe we should have slaves. Some people didn't. So and look what happened.
yeah,
It was one of the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know how many lives were lost in that war. That was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like they were retaliating against each other because of the beliefs, and that's the thing. People. Now I don't think it'll get to that point nowadays because most people won't. Most people don't fight like that. But it.
I know we own more guns in the world than any other country. I know
Yeah,
that.
but that's the thing. Is it's like I remember when the whole Black Lives Matter thing was going on. There was a lot of country and other people that were like, "Well, we're ready to fight," for what we believe in,
Yeah.
and they were ready to retaliate
But
against
see, that's
each other.
division. We all have to.
Yeah.
We all have to stick together, regardless of a race, color, or creed. We
Yeah,
really
it's
need
like
to, we really
yeah.
need to find a way to work together and accept each other's differences, and not try to push. I don't need to push my ideas on you, nor do you need to push your ideas on me. Live your life as long as you're not infringing on me, and I'm not infringing on you. Why can't I accept you for how you
Yep.
are?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, which is the thing there.
Yeah.
You don't need to be like me, and I don't need to be like you, but we can still be united
Yeah.
Yeah.
in other ways.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that
that's the
would-
thing. If it came down to it, if it came down to, like, let's say ground troops were dropped or everything like that, people would forget all about the,
I think so. I
about the
agree.
genders and everything that they would
And
work
race,
together.
yeah.
They would work together to protect each other
and protect what they love and what
Yeah.
they care about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Wouldn't be any of this
No,
man against.
yeah.
Seems like we got the man against women here in the
Yeah,
U.S.
man
That's
against
another
women.
thing.
You
Yeah,
know, you
and
got
that's the
whites
thing.
against blacks
Yeah.
and whites against everything
You
and
got
blacks against.
MGTOW, men going their own way, and then you got the red pill. And
Yeah, but I believe if it came down to it, which thank God I don't think it'll ever have to get to it, and hopefully it doesn't. But if it came down to it, we would all stand together,
Yeah.
united as
I think so.
as before.
Yeah. If we had a common enemy, I think
Yeah,
we would.
for
But
sure.
I think
Unfortunately, the common enemy is like a weevil within us right now, but
Yeah.
it's causing us to. It's not like something from the outside; it's from the inside.
Yeah,
from the inside,
but that's
yeah.
the thing. It's like I can't remember which president said it. He was like, the U.S. or something like that won't fall from the outside; it'll fall from the inside or something like that.
It'll
So
implode like
Yeah.
Rome, I think.
exactly, and that's the thing. It's like people don't, it's like that. We need to stand together and work together as best as we can, because that'll make us stronger. Just like how when soldiers go out there, they work together as a group.
Yeah, as
to,
a group, as a team.
Yeah, to fight against the
Oh,
common
it's just like
enemy.
when we work, us three,
Yeah.
we work together. We get a lot more done together working as a team than if we all work the same job but worked as separate
Yeah,
individuals.
exactly.
We each have our part to play.
And we get it done quicker, and we do more when we work together as
Right.
instead of as individuals ourselves. People don't understand how the power of working together
Yeah, I
is
mean,
a
unity.
1,000 times stronger than working alone.
Right.
Yeah, nowadays, it's like really one of the things is we're the most divided that we've ever been.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that we have social media and everything like that and such quick, easy access to any belief that you want.
Right.
Like, we're probably the most divided that we've ever been.
Seems to me too. Well, so what do you think the solution to that is?
Everybody looking within themselves, but that's a hard task.
Yeah.
That's a
What
hard
is
task.
what is it about? And like you said to me multiple times, what is it about you that's bringing upon this? What is it that you like? What is it about you that you don't like about this certain
Yeah.
aspect of life? Or
Yeah, the
something?
solution to that would also be like even us, all of us,
Yeah, another
looking
thing
within ourselves.
And another thing is like, don't look outside of yourself to solve your problems. Look within
Yeah.
yourself.
Don't try to maybe you're not happy about something that's going on in your life and you kind of see it outside of your life. Don't go try to it's like you said, it's like looking in the mirror and trying to fix your hair.
Yeah, life reflects back to you what you are.
Yes,
That's hard
sir.
to do. Anytime I catch myself criticizing someone or what they say really annoys me, I need to look at myself and say, what is he telling me? What is he reflecting back to me about myself that I don't like, that I don't want to look at?
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes to figure that out. Sometimes you have to speak to somebody, a mentor,
Yeah.
someone to try to figure that out, because it's hard for us to see ourselves.
And
It's
that's
hard,
the thing,
it's hard
too.
to take responsibility, take not necessarily blame, but take like I said, responsibility.
Yeah,
for
and that's
how
the
you're
thing. It's
feeling.
it's so much easier. I mean, I've done it too multiple times before I was taught better, or before I won't say better, but taught differently by you. It's easier to blame somebody else or something outside of you, because then you don't have to look within.
Yeah.
You don't have to think,
Right,
okay, why do I feel like this? Because of something that he's reflecting or she's reflecting back to me, or whatever the person, it's like it's hard, and it's always easier to go, and especially in the U.S., you can always go the easier route by choosing to blame somebody else.
Life is a big mirror. And it goes back to, we were talking about people are not wanting to be accountable these days. You talked about the lawsuits. Everyone wants to blame someone else. And a child can take his parents to court for taking his pornography books away.
Yeah.
So that takes away the rights of the parents and actually
Their
divides
authority,
the
yeah.
family. And that's a big problem here too, is the father doesn't seem to have the authority in the house that he used to have because the government is so involved in the family.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, the other night when I'm just gonna say I crashed your car a little bit. I kind of ran off the road.
Yeah,
I was
remember
talking
that.
to a police officer, and he's 51 years old, and I was telling him how if I had done something like this and I was drinking or driving, you might punish me maybe what my butt, which you probably wouldn't have done that because I'm older now, or just kind of punish me in a way where I would learn. But I was telling him about how you used to punish me earlier, or like when I was younger and you wrote my butt. He was like, yeah, that's the thing. Nowadays, men aren't allowed to do that sort of stuff. He agreed with that too. He didn't, and he's like, and men are allowed to be men and punish their own children. And that's the thing. It's like you can take their phone away, but what are you going to do if they take it out of your hand? What are you gonna? They're gonna be like, what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly.
What are you gonna do if you can't maybe smack
If you
your kid?
can't use physical,
Yeah.
police can use physical measures. They can cuff them up. They can hold them. And Frank, he got caught out after curfew one night, and the police told me to take him home and whip his butt, which I did. Now you can do that legally in Missouri if you don't leave a mark. That's the way I understand the law, unless it's changed.
But that's the thing. People are like, oh, and that's the cop. The cop even said to me too. Is it's like now some parents they do take it too far.
Yeah,
they
of course.
like they actually abuse their children. But if you don't have a way to punish your child physically, they feel no threat. There is no there's no scare. There's no fear there. And sometimes I'm not saying fear is absolutely correct, but if you don't have some sort of fear of the higher authority,
Right.
what are you gonna? You're just gonna do whatever you please.
Well, it's like Paulina said last week. She's seen some of her peers talk to some of her male peers talk to their moms like dogs.
Yeah.
Call them, cuss at them, call them names and everything else. And it's like, see the mother. If there's no father around, there's nothing she can really.
Yeah.
She doesn't. I mean, what's she gonna do? He starts pushing her around. She can't.
And that's the thing is, it's like it's gotten so safe in this country for even children because of of the protection we have that they start disrespecting their parents. I remember when I was younger, I knew this kid who used to tell he'd be like, "Shut up, old man." He'd talk to his dad like that. He'd be like, "I don't even want to talk to you," and his dad would buy him what he wanted.
Yeah,
If I ever talk to you like that-
disrespectful when it comes to their parents.
What's that?
People are really disrespectful when it comes to their parents.
I would never talk to you like that because I know better. For one, you help me out a lot. You do a bunch of stuff for me, and you give me a lot of stuff, and you give me a home, you give me food, and everything like that. But on top of that, I wouldn't think about talking to you like that because you might think, okay, well, if you think you're so tough, get in the ring with me, then, boy. I'll show you how tough you think you are.
Well, but therein lies the problem too. Most men have gotten so out of shape they couldn't get in the ring with their teenage boys.
Yeah.
They don't have the balls to back it up, for lack of a better way to say it, to back up.
Yeah.
So once their kid gets to be like you're 30 pounds heavier than me. Once you guys get big, then he's afraid to even discipline his son or to stand up and say, look, you're not going to do that in this house. You go find your own place to live or whatever. Of course, you can't kick them out until they're 18, but, a teenage kids will challenge their father physically.
Yeah, and they do that once they get older. It's like I know I've done it when I was younger, but that's the thing. It's like now I know better. Now that I've gotten older, I wouldn't challenge you because I know that if I did and we got in a ring, I know I would lose. Because you're gonna hit me like a man. Because I am a man. I'm grown up and I weigh more. I weigh.
Yeah, if I didn't, you might hurt me.
Yeah, I weigh 30 pounds more than you, but if you don't hit me like a man, I'm gonna hurt you. Like you said, I might hurt you.
Exactly.
So you're gonna, and that's the thing. It's like people don't understand. But that's the thing too. Is it's like if I challenge you and you do hurt me, it'll teach me to respect the authority that's outside of you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of kids when they get hurt by their fathers, something like that. I've heard a lot of kids and I've had a lot of friends that go into the military because they respect their authority and they want to do something. They're like, you know what, I respect, what my dad's taught me, and I respect the authority, and I want to go do something. I want to go protect this country.
Yeah, if you don't respect the authority in your home, you're certainly not going to respect the police out there. And therein lies the problem. Policeman tells you to stop, you don't do it. Well, you wouldn't do it. Stop for your mom or your dad. So, then you get shot.
Yeah, that's
or
the thing.
Worse,
yeah.
or resist arrest. You get yourself in more trouble because you didn't respect the authority of the policeman.
And it really starts at your home. If your parents aren't being, like telling you I'm the higher authority, you need to listen to me, and they actually are backing it up. These kids go out there in real life, and then they do that with the police, and they retaliate against you.
Right.
They're not your kids, you know, they're not related, and they will do something about it. They will retaliate against you. You know, you swing at a cop compared to if you swing at your parent, the cop might shoot you.
What does they say? An active father in the home keeps their sons out of jail and their daughters off of stripper poles. I believe that's true.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
We need more masculine presence in the homes. We have so many divided families and so many kids being raised up in America here by their mothers, and then in a lot of homes, the man is not the leader or the masculine presence in the home. The women since the 60s with the women's liberation are trying to move into the masculine role, which they say they don't like the masculinity, but it just does not work.
Yeah.
A young teenage boy does not have the respect for his mother that he does for an active father, a masculine role model father.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like once a kid gets to a certain age too, it's like, oh, maybe he'll listen to his mom when he's a younger kid, but once he gets to a certain age where he's bigger than her and there's no other man around, and his mom I've seen multiple videos too, or multiple kids do this. Their mother swings at him and they grab her hand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the mom's like, oh, how can you do that? But the boy knows that there's not going to be, okay, just wait till your dad gets home type of thing, you know.
Well, see, here in America, too, once again, it goes back to our original topic about how great America is, the freedoms we have because of the men and women and some women, too, have given their lives so we can have that. Because in other countries, there would be a male presence. If it wasn't the father, it would be another male because the woman could not survive with kids without a man.
Yeah.
They just could not do it.
Yeah.
But we have so many safety nets here that it's very common for that because you have the government and the programs and all these things. The woman does not need the man like she does in these other third world countries.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Well, I guess that's about We pretty well covered this topic. We'll wrap it up. I want to thank you all for joining me, and we'll be back next Saturday night at 7 p.m. with another exciting topic that I'm sure will be of value to you. Thanks again. I'll